You open your phone to check one thing. Just one thing. A message. A score. A tiny red number glowing like it knows your name. But the real answer is far stranger, because your brain addicted to distraction is not a failure of discipline. It is an ancient survival machine being fed a modern casino through glass. Before this video ends, you will see why the thing pulling your attention is not really the app, the notification, or the screen. It is something older, something inside you. So answer this in one sentence. What usually steals your attention first? You may think distraction begins when your hand reaches for the phone. It does not. It begins earlier, in a small burst of prediction. Your brain notices the possibility of something new, and for a moment, the world narrows around it. Not because the new thing is important, because it might be. But here's where it gets strange. For most of human history, missing a signal could cost you more than chasing a false one. A crack in the bushes, a face in the crowd, a sudden silence in the trees. Your ancestors did not survive by calmly ignoring everything. They survived by noticing too much. That means your attention was never designed to be peaceful. It was designed to be useful. The psychologist William James once described attention as the mind taking possession of one thing out of many possible things. That sounds simple, almost elegant, but inside your skull, that possession is being fought over constantly because every sound, symbol, memory, and worry is trying to become the one thing. And today, the battlefield fits in your pocket. A notification is not just information. It is a question with no answer yet. Who sent it? What changed? Did someone react? Are you needed? Are you missing something? Your brain hates unfinished questions. This is the first trap. Distraction is not only pleasure. Sometimes it is tension. The pull comes from not knowing, and not knowing creates a tiny itch in the mind. You scratch it by checking. Then the itch returns. In the 1950s, B.F. Skinner showed how powerful unpredictable rewards could be. Animals did not press a lever most intensely when food arrived every time. They pressed it hardest when the reward came sometimes, without a perfect pattern. That uncertainty made the behavior stronger. Now look at your phone again. Most checks give you nothing. Some give you something. A message. A like. A new video. A piece of drama. A small proof that the world has not forgotten you. The reward is not constant, and that is exactly why you keep reaching. But the reward is only half the story. In the late 1990s, neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz studied dopamine neurons and found something that changed how scientists understood desire. Dopamine did not simply spike when a reward arrived. It spiked when the brain predicted a reward, especially when the reward was uncertain or better than expected. Read that again in your mind. Your brain can begin chasing before anything good has happened. That means the pull of distraction often comes before the pleasure. The moment you see the red badge, your brain is already leaning forward. It is not enjoying the message. It is predicting the possibility of a message. It is chasing the maybe. And maybe is powerful. A sure thing becomes boring. A maybe stays alive. A feed that refreshes forever. A comment section that might contain one perfect reply. A short video app that might deliver the funniest clip of the day. All of these are built around the same ancient weakness. Your brain does not need a reward every time. It only needs the belief that the next one could be different. But why does this feel so personal? Why does one small rectangle seem stronger than your own decision to stop? Because attention is not controlled by one clean command center. It is pulled between systems. One part of you can want focus, and another part can still scan for novelty, threat, status, and reward. You experience this conflict as weakness. Your brain experiences it as competition. This is why you can close an app and reopen it seconds later. That moment feels ridiculous, almost embarrassing. You were just there. Nothing changed. And yet your thumb returns as if it has its own memory. The truth is colder than that. The loop does not need your approval once it has learned the path. Charles Duhigg popularized the cue, routine, reward model of habits, but the idea grew from decades of behavioral research. A cue appears. A routine follows. A reward teaches the loop to repeat. Over time, the cue alone begins to create craving. Your bored feeling becomes the cue. Your phone becomes the routine. The reward is not always happiness. Sometimes the reward is escape. This matters because boredom is not empty. Boredom is a signal that your mind has become aware of itself without enough stimulation to hide behind. That can be uncomfortable. You start feeling time. You start hearing thoughts. You start noticing uncertainty, loneliness, homework, ambition, guilt, or the strange pressure of being alive. Then a screen arrives like a trap door. Tap. Gone. For a few seconds, you do not have to be alone with your own mind. That relief can train you faster than pleasure can. A funny video rewards you, but avoiding discomfort also rewards you. The brain learns both. And by the time you hear what scientists discovered about mind wandering, you may never think about distraction as simple laziness again. In 2010, psychologists Matthew Killingsworth and Daniel Gilbert used an iPhone study to ask people what they were doing, what they were thinking about, and how they felt. Their paper was called "A Wandering Mind is an Unhappy Mind." They found that people's minds wandered often, and that mind wandering was linked with lower happiness. But here's the twist. Your brain still wanders because wandering has uses. It simulates the future. It replays the past. It imagines danger. It searches for meaning. A wandering mind is not broken. It is a prediction engine without a clear task. So when modern platforms give that wandering mind endless doors to open, it walks through them. This is not an accident. The feed has no natural ending. The next post is always almost visible. The next video begins before your decision fully forms. The next headline promises a secret, a threat, a trick, a scandal, a transformation, or proof that someone else is living better than you. Your ancient attention system meets infinite novelty. Which side do you think wins? At first, you are choosing. Then you are being shaped. Every check teaches your brain what to expect when boredom appears. Every scroll teaches it how fast the world can change. Every swipe compresses patience into smaller and smaller pieces until normal life starts to feel too slow. A book feels slow. A lecture feels slow. A conversation pauses for 2 seconds, and some part of you reaches for escape. This is the second trap. Distraction changes the background speed of your mind. It does not just steal time while you are distracted. It changes how undistracted time feels afterward. That is why focus can feel painful. Not painful like injury, painful like withdrawal from constant movement. When nothing is flashing, updating, reacting, or rewarding you, your brain may interpret stillness as absence. Something is missing. Something should be happening. Something should be checked. But what is actually missing? The answer is not information. It is stimulation. This is where the story turns from technology to identity. Your brain begins to confuse being stimulated with being alive and being unstimulated with being left out. That confusion is dangerous because it makes silence feel like failure. It makes patience feel like punishment. So ask yourself this. Would you rather be bored for 10 minutes or feel slightly anxious for an hour because you kept checking everything? That question matters because distraction often disguises itself as control. You check the news to stay informed. You check messages to stay connected. You check social media to stay aware. You check videos to relax. Each reason sounds logical by itself. Together, they become a cage with good explanations. The cage is not made of screens. It is made of tiny promises. This will only take a second. This will help you reset. This will make you feel better. This will answer the question. This will be the last one. But the last one has no shape. The machine is built so the next thing appears before the stopping point can become real. In older environments, experiences ended. A meal ended. A path ended. A story ended. A conversation ended when the other person walked away. The mind could close the loop. Now the loop stays open. And open loops are sticky. Psychologist Bluma Zygarnik observed that unfinished tasks tend to stay active in memory more than finished ones. The Zygarnik effect is often described in simple terms, but its emotional power is easy to feel. An unanswered message, an unfinished video, a cliffhanger, a half-read comment thread. Your brain keeps a small tab open. Too many tabs become a weather system. You may call it being busy. Your brain calls it unresolved. This is why distraction can feel exhausting even when you did nothing physical. Attention has a cost. Switching has a cost. Rebuilding focus has a cost. Every time you move from one thing to another, your brain must unload one context and reload another. Researchers like Gloria Mark have studied workplace interruption and attention switching, showing how frequent interruptions fragment focus and leave people feeling stressed. The exact numbers can vary by study and setting, but the lived experience is familiar. After enough switching, even simple work feels heavier than it should. Your mind is not weak. It is carrying too many half-open doors. Now the final piece begins to appear. If distraction is only a bad habit, the solution is simple. Just stop. Delete the app. Throw away the phone. Become disciplined. But if distraction is an ancient prediction system, a reward learning loop, an escape from discomfort, and an environment designed to keep questions unfinished, then stopping requires something deeper. You do not defeat distraction by hating your brain. You defeat it by understanding what your brain is trying to do. It is trying to protect you from missing something. It is trying to find reward. It is trying to escape discomfort. It is trying to resolve uncertainty. It is trying to feel connected to the tribe. These are not stupid goals. They are ancient goals in a world that learned how to exploit them. The real enemy is not curiosity. The real enemy is engineered infinity. For thousands of years, curiosity helped you explore, learn, remember, and survive. It pulled you toward tracks in the mud, strange plants, unfamiliar tools, new faces, and stories around the fire. But curiosity needs edges. It needs a world where one thing ends and another begins. Without edges, curiosity becomes compulsion. That is the secret at the center of the loop. Your brain is not addicted to distraction because distraction is meaningful. Your brain is addicted because distraction keeps promising meaning in the next moment, then moves the moment away. The answer is always one swipe ahead. The message might arrive. The video might matter. The comment might explain everything. The next thing might finally be enough. But enough never comes from a system designed around next. So what does breaking the loop look like? It begins when you stop treating attention as a mood and start treating it as an environment. You do not wait to feel focused in the same place where you trained yourself to be scattered. You change the cues. You remove the open loops. You make boredom survivable again. Not dramatic, just real. A phone in another room. A timer with one clear task. A notebook for the thought you are afraid to forget. A screen that does not enter the bed. A feed that has an ending because you give it one. A few minutes where boredom is allowed to exist without being instantly killed. At first, this feels too small to matter. Then the old system complains. It says you are missing something. It says you are falling behind. It says this silence is wrong. It says checking would be harmless. That voice is not proof that you need the distraction. It is proof that the loop learned how to ask for itself. Stay there for a moment. Not forever. Just long enough for your brain to learn a new prediction. Boredom does not kill you. Silence does not erase you. A message can wait. A thought can pass. A craving can rise, peak, and fade without becoming a command. This is the counterintuitive truth. Focus is not the absence of wanting distraction. Focus is the moment you feel the pull and do not obey it immediately. That tiny delay is not tiny to your brain. It is new data. It teaches the system that the cue does not always control the routine. Over time, the world slows down again. A page becomes readable. A conversation becomes enough. A walk becomes interesting. Your own thoughts become less frightening because you have stopped treating them like emergencies. Attention returns not as a heroic superpower, but as something quieter, a place to stand. And now the opening scene looks different. You are still holding the phone. The red number is still glowing. The maybe is still alive. But now you can see the machinery behind the urge. It is not magic. It is prediction. It is reward. It is ancient fear wearing modern glass. You opened your phone to check one thing, but the thing being checked was your attention.